You may be seated. A reading from the book of Revelation. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, then I will enter his house and dine with him, and he with me. The word of the Lord. Well, I guess we're now under another round of lockdowns and shutdowns. I get confused, not knowing all the time what's locked down, where I can go, where I can't go. I messed up at the bank. Last week I thought the bank was open and it was one of the days they had shut down. I've learned to Google everything now before I go and give them a call. You never really know these days. And it hasn't been easy. You know, I loved going to the movies and couldn't go to the movies. And, my cousin's in a big bowling league and he can't go bowling or hadn't been able to go bowling. And of course, my godson and I, every year, we'd get Tiger tickets together and go to a few games, and we weren't able to do that either. And I imagine every single person here could come up here and talk about what was closed and what was the hardest thing to have closed in their life. In fact, we probably spent a lot of time thinking about all the things that are closed and all the places we can't go where we used to go and all the places that we enjoyed and we can't go and enjoy them. That's true. That's very true. So I thought I would do something very different tonight. I thought I'd reflect upon the things that I see, at least in my life, that are open. What's open? Let's look at this from a different point of view. Not what's closed. What's still open? What's out there that's open? Well, let's start with the outside. The outside is open. It's wide open. I have found that since when the gym closed down, that I began to take a lot of walks. I went out to Stony Creek. I went up and down the Red Run Drain. I went over to that Red Oak little park over there on DeQuinder, just east, on 13 Mile, just east of DeQuinder. And I did a lot of hiking. I saw a lot of deer. I saw a bald eagle. And up at Stony Creek, I got to see one of those ospreys dive down in the water and pull out a fish. Bigger fish than I ever caught. Very impressive. And it was wonderful. And I was glad I was open to getting outside and doing all that walking. And I thought, well, this is great. I don't know in fact, just a few Sundays ago, the youth group, Kim and some folks from St. Ronald's and some folks right here, we took a walk out at Stony Creek in the wind and in the snow. We hiked about a good mile into the forest, and we had a beautiful Emmaus walk mass. And so the outdoors is open if you're open to it. What else is open? Well, reading is open. Reading is open. I have read more since the lockdown than I've had in a long time. And I've reread things that I've always enjoyed. One of the things I read was The Hobbit. I read it in English, and then I read it again in Spanish, just to keep up my Spanish. And it's a wonderful story. And I know there's a movie. You might have seen it. In fact, it's a 3-part series movie. They're great movies. They're wonderful, great movies. But why I recommend reading, there's nothing wrong with watching the movies. The movies are great. But read it, or any other good book. Because then you imagine what the scenes are in your own mind. And that becomes very personal to you. And that leads to a third thing that's opened, our imaginations. If you're opening up your imagination, you can see opportunities to learn or opportunities just for fun. I was reflecting. I was talking to my sister, and we were reminiscing. She's now a grandmother. Little Reagan was born a few weeks ago, and now my sister's on cloud 9. And we began reminiscing, and I says, well, you see, look at all the wonderful fun things you can do with your granddaughter. We reminisced about the things that our grandfather did with us and our grandmother did with us when we were really young. And one of the things we imagined was taking all the cushions off the couches and taking some chairs out and taking some blankets and building a fort right there in the middle of the front room. I don't know if kids still do that. You should let your kids do it. So a few things get moved around. They'll have a ton of fun. And that's their imagination at work. And that's a good thing. If you're open to it, exercise your imagination. Another thing that's available if you're open to it is prayer. If we're open to praying more, God's there. He'll listen. He'll listen. We can talk to God about our family and how much we love them. We can talk about our friends that we miss or only get to see on the screen, or we can talk about the groups that we haven't been able to see as much of, but someday we will. And another thing we got to be open to is hope. You have to be open to hope, because we are people of hope. We definitely have to have strong hope that this is going to pass. We are going to get through with this. We're going to take these things off. And we see all your smiling faces. You see, it's tough to tell a joke from the pulpit now because I can't really tell if you're smiling or not, Sometimes I have images of people sticking their tongues out at me. Oh, well. Maybe that's only when I ask for the CSA. That's when the tongues come out. I don't know. But we have to be, oh, good, I got laughter. That's real. So you got to be open to it. You have to open to it. And finally, and this is probably the most important, and that's why I chose this reading today. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, then I will enter his house and dine with him and he with me. Jesus is knocking on the door. Do we have the courage? Do we have the ability? Do we have the strength to open that door and let him in?